and welcome to Smooth Traffic on YouTube. We're here with a Vauxhall, which isn't a French car, even though it might be owned by a French company. This is the Vauxhall Corsa GSi 1.4 Turbo Edition, and, well, it's a sporty super mini. It's comparable to the Suzuki Swift Sport, or the Polo GTI, or probably one of the 1,000 Fiestas that you can get. And it's a Vauxhall. Not really sure what to say, in all honesty. I've always been a bit on the fence about whether I actually like the Corsa. As Corsas go, I think this one looks pretty decent, and it certainly drives okay, but it still feels like a remnant of a bygone era. You know, all of your classic sort of hot hatches and stuff, they've all progressed as time has gone on, but I've always felt that the Corsa has kind of stayed the same, and I don't necessarily mean that in a good way. However, having said that, it does have some nice styling cues. The front grille, as you'll see, it's got a bit of a Peugeot look about it, coincidentally. Nice little spoiler on the back, because this is aimed at your sportier generation of drivers. This one actually has 18-inch alloys on it, but the standard comes with 17-inch, and they do fill out the wheel arches, which is always important, because I think quite often you get cars which have got wheels that are just slightly too small. Interesting little addition as well, carbon fibre door mirrors, because why not? So, it's yellow. I don't think it's a good yellow. So, as I mentioned from the front end, it's got a spoiler, and it's a fairly sturdy little unit. It's got a boot, like all cars. I could fit in there, so there's a reasonable amount of luggage space. If you were just getting a Corsa to do your weekly shopping, you'd be fine. I can easily fit in this boot. I could just slide back in. I'm not going to, because it would be an absolute ball ache for me trying to get back out again, because I'm a very cumbersome person. But I brought you around just to see the suspension when I get up. Not much movement, and I'm heavy. Just a single exhaust, as with a lot of these cars, so nothing too sporty, but I think the styling generally, it does lend itself into, you know, giving you that sporty feel. But really what matters there is how it drives. As I said, it's all about the driving. When you've got a little sporty super mini, that's what you want. You want it to be nippy, you want it to be just a little bit pacey, and most importantly, you want to be completely confident that what you ask it to do, it will do. Yeah. And to be fair, I can't criticise the Corsa for that. It's a very nimble car. You can feel that it's not heavy, if that makes sense. As in it.
No, it doesn't.
Oh, actually, you get into the high rev range, and it does really move.
It does. There is body roll, but it's not ridiculous.
Yeah, you can still give it a little bit of beans, possibly slightly into the corner.
So in terms of the styling in the car, so it's got a nice leather stitch. Well, the stitching and the leather on the gear stick is fine, and the steering wheel looks fine as well.
Yep.
The dash, it's got a little bit going on, but the plastics are okay on the top. They're a little bit soft touch. Then you've got this massive shiny black bit, and it's just, I mean, it's covered in dust. And it's a breast car, which I'm sure has been dusted numerous times already today, so obviously it's just a dust magnet and a fingerprint magnet. But I don't know, it just looks a bit cheap, and the doors are a bit, that's nice soft leathery material, leather obviously, probably. That feels a bit cheap. It's just, there's a real mix of nice materials and plastic and cheap, and I don't think it really knows what it wants to be. I don't know. Like the seats, we've got Recaro seats in here. They were an extra for £1,000 or so.
Yeah.
But I think they look almost out of place in a car like this with the interior. Don't know. Do you agree? What do you think?
No, I know exactly what you mean. It's the interior isn't mind-blowingly amazing, and I think when you go for a sportier car, you either want something that's stripped out and bare, which again this isn't really, because they've kind of made effort to do some of the dash, but then at the same time, if you don't want it sporty and bare, then you want it to be all the mod cons, or you just want it to like make you think, wow, when you get in, every time you get in, you want to think, oh, I want to be in this car. And it's not that I don't want to be in it, but it's just it's very samey, along the same lines as everything else that is on offer in the sort of base models of most of its competitors.
It doesn't feel like you're getting in and you're like, oh, that's a sort of a specific styling. It's just sort of, I suppose, I don't know, maybe I'm being picky, but I think you spend most of your time in the car, you don't look at it from the outside, so actually the internal plastics and things are really important. So I've got my hand on the side here, and actually that's really plasticky, and it's got like big buttons that feel a bit plastic, they feel like they're not bolted together nicely, and it just cheapens it, and it's actually I think it's quite expensive for what it is. What was it, 18,000?
Yes.
17, 18,000? It's got some extras as well, which make it a little bit more expensive. But
the thing is, at that price, it is cheaper than what Vauxhall are aiming as its competitors, which are the Polo GTI. I think the Fiesta ST1 is it, and then something else. But I've got to say, it's more in keeping with the Suzuki Swift Sport for my liking in terms of the interior, and even then I'd say that it's probably not as good as the Suzuki Swift Sport. So you could save yourself a couple of grand. Apparently it does insure cheaply, this one, which has always been something that Vauxhall have been very good at. And even going back to when the Vauxhall Nova came out, one of the sales points of that was that
free insurance.
They gave away a year's free insurance in some cases. So to keep the price down, insurance-wise, is a big deal, because this could well be someone's first car. And it's a Vauxhall Corsa. It's a little bit of a special Corsa because it's got that sort of sportier edge, the GSi, the turbocharged engine. But I don't know. I mean, maybe I'm getting old and cynical.
Definitely that.
But I'm still of the opinion that a first car should be something that isn't brand new, and it is a little bit rubbish. That if you have a prang in it, it's not the end of the world, because you're not really making a big issue. Whereas if you were to have a prang in this, all right, it insures cheaply, but what you've got to think is it's a brand new car, and then it looks okay. You have a prang in it, you put a massive dent in it, and
I just think I can't see quite what they're aiming for. It doesn't feel like it's quite sporty enough. It's not quite first car enough. It's not classy enough. But it's got a bit of all of those things, which is why I think it's missing the mark. If you know what I mean.
I know what you mean.
I just need to come down on one of those things. Make the interior nice,
or
cheap, or whatever. And if you make it cheap, make the car cheaper. That's fine. That's okay. You get into a cheap car. If you get into like a Dacia or something, you think, well, I'm paying about 26 pence for this car. I don't care if it's made out of cardboard. It's like, sounds a bit silly, but you expect that. Whereas this, I think you're paying a lot of money and you're expecting something more, and I don't think you're getting it across the board. So you've got concessions, and I don't think the price suggests concessions. But it handles quite nicely. And then, but then go back to your first car idea. You probably shouldn't be having a first car that you can drive like a hoodlum. I actually think this car would be I think this car would be quite good in a few years' time once it's lost a bit of value.
Yes.
If you're picking one of these up for, I don't know, 10, 12 grand, as a couple of years old, I think that'd probably be quite a good car. Then
new cars should always be second hand. First cars should always be second hand.
But for what you'd get a couple of years down the line for that value, I think it's worth it, because then you can make do with the fact that there's those little things missing that we're moaning about. It's not a terrible car. I think that's why we're almost commenting on these little things, is that it just feels it's close to being great at quite a few things, but it just misses the mark.
I think there are enough little things to annoy you. Which is probably why because it has grown on me since we've started driving, and since we've started talking about it, it has grown on me, and I've enjoyed driving it, frankly. You know, the dash is well laid out, rev counter, which goes the right way, just you wait till Peugeot get their hands on it. Speedo, which also goes the right way. There's a few options on the dash. I can look at my tyre pressures, speed, tyre pressures. There are probably other options that you can go through when you're stationary. It's probably more of that. But it's got cruise control, speed limiter, you know, voice control for phone calls and things.
So heated seats in here as well.
Yeah, it's not lacking in toys, shall we say?
I think if I was to conclude, there are, as we've said, there are plenty of things that have niggled us, but it's definitely worth taking out for a spin.
Yes,
because
definitely.
if those things don't bother you, it's a great car. It's just when you've driven some other similar cars in the class and they've done really well at one or two of those things, you maybe forget the things that this does well that those other cars don't. So give it a try. Let us know what you think.
At Smooth Traffic.